joined by my fellow board member, Monique, and our special guest, Sav. So, Sav, you have a very interesting title, Head of Culture and Engagement. Can you please tell us about your role?
Of course. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's quite a mouthful. It's quite modern in terms of what people probably expect it to be. But I sit in the people team, and when you approach HR, there's normally three buckets, right? There's the recruitment side, so people coming into an organization. There's the operational side, your kind of paperwork and systems and so forth, and then there's everything else. And basically that's where you'll find me. How I normally describe it is, at the end of the day, we are very passionate about creating a work environment where people want to be. If you feel activated and passionate about what you get to do today, we feel that your output, your performance is just going to be that much better. So I have the task of working with individuals, with leaders, with teams to really make sure that I'm constantly checking in and making sure people feel at the end of the day they get to do what they love. They get to be passionate about what they get to do every day. And let's be honest, no work environment is perfect. So when those roadblocks do come, because they're going to, like, how are we approaching it, how are we communicating it, and how are we working together to get through there? So that's basically what I do, and every day is different, but that's what I love about it.
Amazing. I love that you mentioned that your role incorporates working with everyone within the tiers of an organization, from leadership through to entry level. I mean, that requires a lot of empathy. I imagine that it's also quite a unique path that brought you to this. And in our sort of Ambassador Series interviews, we haven't had the opportunity to talk to somebody who's on the people side of tech. So that's why I'm really excited that we're talking with you today. For anyone who's listening, particularly someone who's actually looking at it through the lens of what should I study to do what Savannah does, what was your education path, or what would you recommend to someone who's people orientated, curious about tech, but maybe not even curious about tech, but just loves the idea of the role that you're describing?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I'd like to start off with the fact that education is so important, and there's so many paths to kind of land where I did. I can honestly say I had quite a humble and privileged way of landing here. I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I knew I loved people, and I managed to entry the tech industry in a completely different role, which I loved. It gave me exposure, but to be honest, my studies did not align to what I do now at all. I had a very natural and organic progression to where I am. And I think that was because I learned a lot about myself on a journey of, becoming a woman in a working world, let alone a tech industry, but also because I was very fortunate to be around leaders and people in my team that identified in me the care and, like you said, Mon, the empathy I had for people to just be happy and, activated and really just enjoy what they do. And those two married up, and I was super, super, super fortunate to have people that invested in me and said, we see what you bring, let's try and marry these two together. But if I was to, speak to young ladies today that are wanting to, potentially be in a role like this, I think that some kind of qualification in, your HR side of background, because knowing those policies sometimes are super beneficial for you executing properly against decisions, making sure you are taking the appropriate adjustments, modifications, teams to leadership, and having that knowledge piece is going to really set you up to succeed. However, I really believe at base level, attitude is going to be what makes you successful. If you show up with the will to just want to make a difference in people's lives, I believe that with the right company, the doors will open and they will see that you could add benefit there.
I love that. Everybody's journey is so unique. So, knowing what you know today, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, goodness.
A lot.
A lot, yes. Where would I start? No, but I think, looking back, I change was a consistent, especially in the tech environment. And one of the things I had to learn about myself is I'd realize that change was going to come, and I'd have to get on board and I'd support it, and try and influence where I thought it would make a positive change. But I was quite negative about it internally, like, oh, another change, and unfortunately, with that internal struggle going on, it would often bubble over, or it would impact on how I viewed the change. And it would probably take me longer to really get to a point to see, look, it's going to be hard work. That's what comes with change. But at the end of it, there's going to be silver linings. There's going to be change for a positive outcome. And so I just say to myself, hey, Savannah, like, the reality is, if you can look for one positive thing in the change that's about to come, it's going to be easier on you, and you're going to enjoy it more. So if you can just shift that slightly, it'll probably make a lot less tears at the end of the day of going, oh, another change. But yeah, you'd get there and know that at the end of the day, it was for the right move.
I love that. It's I think I read years and years ago. I've got a little collection of sayings I've read through my life that have stuck with me. And actually, as you're talking, you just reminded me of one. And I don't know who said it, but it's something along the lines of, the only thing that's guaranteed in life is that things will change. So, I mean, great advice. If anyone's listening, especially if you're in that stage of choosing what to study or choosing what career you want, the reality is the decision must be right for you right now. And once you're in it, you can keep reviewing and keep assessing and keep making decisions that are right for you right now. And I mean, you're a great example, Savannah. When I met you, you were in a different role to head of culture and engagement. And you're in a completely different role now and rocking it and affecting people's lives. And it's been, for me, just being a little part of your journey when we work together, it's been a real blessing seeing you flourish. So thanks for sharing your story. And before we close out, I think a really nice way for us to end is just to ask you if you have any words of encouragement for particularly any of our younger members that might be listening or be exposed to this video series, just words of encouragement for them as they are about to enter the workforce. Is there anything you'd like to share with them?
For sure. I think, and I feel quite passionate about this because obviously, being an ambassador, I felt quite fortunate, but I realized with a bit of reflection, I have been privileged to have such amazing women role models in my life. My mom, aunts, sisters, really just strong women. And sometimes you take that for granted. But what stood out with me in all those cases, there were different personalities. Some are stay-at-home moms, some are in the workforce. The reality is women are such a value add to a business. The way they look at things, the way they get through struggles, the way they have kids at home or partners, and they balance it all. That I would love to think that young girls could be more confident that they really do have something major to add to any company that they enter, and it doesn't always have to be about what you've studied. Like I said, I really believe that it's about behaviors, how you show up, your attitudes. And even the women that I work with now, I see that in the way that they take on their work day. They apply things that just often blow me away, that there's no one that taught them that. That was that's a woman coming into her own and really just knocking out the park and adding value. So I just hope that that's something more and more young ladies can take away, that they have something to add.
Well, not even young ladies. I think I'm going to take that away. Be confident in what you bring to the table. Great words of wisdom, Seth. Thank you.
I love it. If I can add, Monique, just one of my phrases that I use often is, and when I'm mentoring and working with some of my team, is that we often need to grow through what we go through. And I think what you've been talking about is a lot about learning about how you've adapted and taking on new challenges and adapting to that change. And I just think it's wonderful how you've crafted out an environment where others can excel as well. So well done to you. Awesome.
Thank you so much. And sorry, just as a last point, I think if we talk about data and numbers, the tech industry as a whole is probably quite male dominant. And so the other thing is that I would hate for that to be something that would put young women or ladies in general off entering the tech industry. In fact, it's what should motivate us more, because we create that balance, right? They still need to be cared for. They still need that empathy side that sometimes, is a blind spot. All those wonderful value adds that women bring, the way they think, the way that they operate, it actually brings like great stability to companies. So yeah, it's can't stop me talking more about it, but I'm an ambassador for women in tech, absolutely.
Well, I think that's a great cue for us to hit save on this recording. Thank you for spending time with us today, and we're just super excited to share your story and hopefully for young girls to be inspired to follow in your footsteps. Thanks very much, Nicole. Thanks, Savannah.